Hello, everyone. Welcome to the World Crypto Network, where we are streaming live from the Stanford campus, where there were some presentations where here at the event, but one of the most interesting people that I really wanted to interview here is, of course, Paul Sztorc. And I'm joined by Jimmy Song. Jimmy, say hi, and then we'll have Paul introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. Good to be here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Paul. What do you want me to introduce?
Well, who you are, what you're known for, and where are you currently working. Try to keep it short. We've got a lot of questions for you.
Okay. So I got into Bitcoin a while ago. I have a background in economics and statistics, and I work on a cool prediction markets project that was originally called TruthCoin and is now called Bitcoin HiveMind. But my progress on that eclipsed the practice on the progress on sidechains. So I've been working on my sidechains project, DriveChain, for the last, I don't know, like 18 months or so. And so we basically finished that very soon, and we'll be getting BIPs out for that. And it's a very interesting project that
and Paul, so you work at Block.
Yeah, Block supports my work on DriveChain, yes. Which I don't know if you know this, Tone, but the CEO of Block is actually Jeff Garzik. I'm not sure you were aware. Were you aware of that? I don't know.
I was.
Yeah, I wonder.
We were aware of that. How many people?
But Tone, I don't know if you know this, but Jeff Garzik is one of the people behind the B2X project.
Really? Right.
We're slightly aware. All right, and this is why we did want to talk to you today, well, especially
and the
especially
myself is
okay?
part of the New York agreement.
Yeah. Right. Well, we'll get to that. Okay, so quick thing on Block. All right. Who founded Block? Where's the money coming from? And how many people are involved?
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't really. So I'm just like I don't own any Block equity or anything like that, and I'm not a co-founder, so I don't actually know that. But I obviously Matt Rozak is another co-founder. Sorry, we're in the wilderness.
I'm like, why are you hitting Jimmy?
Trying to get a mosquito.
Giant spider coming down. Yeah. It's going to ensnare us in a web of lies. So I know Tally Capital, and I know what's the one, Fembushi. But yeah, I don't really know. Like, you shouldn't really ask me because I don't even know. I just know that I was fine. Other people.
So who else is working at Block? Like, besides yourself, that our audience might know. Besides, obviously, Jeff Garzik, yourself, anyone else there programming, anyone else working there on cool projects that our people would have heard of in the crypto space?
People would know. I do know.
Douglas Rourke. He used to work at Armory.
Yeah, Douglas Rourke.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he used to work at Block. And
he doesn't work there anymore.
Not anymore.
Okay.
And you guys
are toughing it out. I can do it too. Jimmy here in short sleeves. All right.
Well, Andreas Schilbach works on Bitcoin J. He's also kind of sponsored by
Okay.
Block. Block does a lot of. Matt Rozak likes a lot of things, just likes everything. So he does. I don't know if these people are like. It's kind of like it's a little bit like it's kind of like an R&D sponsorship. For some of these projects, I think, but I don't know if there's a lot of people who are like really famous or whatever that means.
I mean, I've heard of most of these people. Right?
Yeah.
Like
So,
Andreas is he's been on the dev list quite a bit.
Yeah.
So
All right. So let's jump right into the New York agreement. Okay. What exactly is it? And what are we expecting? My number one question is, what are we expecting in 10 days? And we're going to talk about that. And it's great that Jimmy is here because maybe he can help our audience what to do with their Bitcoin.
Are you asking me like what? You want me to give like an overview of the?
An overview of like what's why the 2X agreement is gonna fork or upgrade Bitcoin, and this is the problem, right? I don't know what to call this thing that's gonna happen in 10 days. So help me out.
Well, I don't know what to call it either. I mean, the thing is, I don't know.
Oh, but you work a Block. How do you not know what to call it? You guys are doing it.
Well,
this is what drives me insane.
Well, I don't think there's really these connections. Like, a lot of people work at Blockstream and they don't really know like what they just work on their own thing. And it's similar where Peter Todd has this stipend from Chain Code Labs, and I think everything's really not as connected as people think it is. People mostly just, I mean, especially people who've been in Bitcoin for a long time, they can just you know, they could. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I would imagine a large number of these people could just quit whenever they want. And just
but that's because it's a pretty
else.
Decentralized organization. I don't really think of Block and this 2X agreement as a decentralized movement. I really see it as one developer. Like, who else besides Jeff Garzik is programming again, fork or upgrade, like whatever you guys want to call it. I can work with that definition, right? To me, it's a fork. To me, it's a hostile fork, right? So who besides Jeff Garzik is involved in coding the initiative?
Well, I don't know. See, that's the thing, is I don't know a lot about. I don't think that Jeff's involvement in the New York agreement is really that related to what he does at Block. I think they're almost completely unrelated.
I think that's clear because he's doing an ICO or something. I mean, do you know anything about
Block
that?
is doing an ICO with Metronome, which I also don't know a lot about, but I know a little about. We could talk about that if you want. But,
no, I really don't want to talk about any other shitcoins. What I do want to talk about is, what do I do with my Bitcoin? Like I'm supposed to be, like, I have tens of thousands of people listening to me what they should do on November 15th. And my answer to them at the moment is, I don't know.
Really?
Which is bad.
You don't have to do anything, though.
No, I got to do something, right? Because I'm not going to, because if I lose any of my Bitcoin because of this, it's going to be bad.
No, but you don't like loot. You get the Bitcoin on both sides if there's a split,
But
which probably there will
fine, then there's going to be replay protection.
No, you don't need replay protection. You just need your private key. There are ways to protect yourself from replay without replay protection built in.
For a layman person like myself who hasn't coded in 10 years.
Yeah, so the wallets will have to do something.
They will have to do something.
Yeah, in order for you to be replay protected.
Okay, and what happens when your wallet doesn't do that?
Well, I think it's actually possible for all replay protection to be defeated. If you want to do that, you can just make it so that the new chain is aware of everything that happens on the old chain, and just automatically everything that happens on the old chain is valid no matter what. And then at least on that side, the replay protection is whatever it is always defeated. So it depends on what you want, is who wants to do what. You know, someone creates an altcoin where it just constantly pulls in valid Bitcoin transactions and replays them. Like, but you've never heard about it, and then you hear about it. Someone calls you up on the phone and says, "Oh, can you send me whatever, Foodcoin 3 because I paid you last week in Bitcoin, but now apparently there's some altcoin where you also got my money on that," and it's kind of like, it doesn't really terminate.
You're thinking of an attack on the whole hard fork concept.
Where,
yes, I am. Yeah.
So where are you? So which wallet are you Bitcoin in on November 15th when the fork happens?
I have Electrum called Storage. I love Electrum. I think Electrum's great.
Jimmy?
I use Armory because I know.
Armory is great. Armory's very like big. It's like a big tank. I think of Electrum, I think of like a lightsaber.
It's only like 40 megabytes. Like without the, if you do it offline and stuff, honestly a lot more, but you can do it. It's just,
all right. So which phone wallets would you recommend for people to be using?
Well, so the problem is that SPV is not great.
Okay, so if it's a problem, why is this shit happen?
The reason why they're not doing replay protection is because they don't want to cut off the rest of the ecosystem, right? Like as soon as you add replay protection, every wallet, every exchange has to upgrade as well. And that's what they had. That's why Bitcoin Cash had no wallets. But if you don't do that, then they potentially can still be compatible with you. That's kind of the point.
So if I'm using a wallet, like, look, I've been a big fan of Airbits. Everyone knows that. I have no idea what's going on with that wallet going into this fork.
They changed their name, actually.
They even changed their name, right? And I still don't have SegWit addresses in that wallet, right? And I've been recommending that wallet to thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. What happens with my transactions when I send them on this wallet because of this initiative?
It's like, if you receive money, then you want replay, right? Because then you'll get twice as much money. You get twice as much Bitcoin units. So it's only when you send money that you're worried about. You worry they're going to take your.
No,
but you don't even want.
I'm actually taking this very, very seriously, because I am not joking. I am expecting a serious Bitcoin correction, mostly because of this.
Well, so I agree with we have these futures markets, and they're not perfect. And I wrote on my blog how I would do it better. So I
6 different assets. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So I have constructive criticism, but I think we see that someone right now can buy for 15 cents on the dollar a coin that ends up being a 2x coin. And so the mystery is, if the 2x coin is going to be worth the 7,000 whatever dollars that it is today, why is that thing so much cheaper? Why is that trading for 15 cents on the dollar? So I think you're right that coin would have to be worth a lot less to be worth sort of close to what Bitcoin Cash is worth.
All right, so Tone, you're asking.
I'm still confused. Hold on a second. I'm still confused how there's going to be 2 different coins without replay protection. I still have not gotten a layman's answer to that question.
You have 2 different coins because they're 2 different chains. It just turns out that a transaction on one chain may also be valid on the other.
What does that mean, may also?
Because not all transactions, like Coinbase transactions, for example, are valid on the other chain. So that ends up being kind of a...
Why is that? And in both directions, you're saying?
Yeah.
So Coinbase to Coinbase or Coinbase to anyone?
So if you have
at a minimum.
Yeah, at a minimum, Coinbase transactions are not valid. Like Coinbase from A is not valid on B, and Coinbase from B is not valid on A.
See, he's saying imagine it was valid. Imagine that's something similar to what I was saying, but he's saying imagine where all the transactions are replayed, like in all directions. You still have some things that will be different. One would be like the hash of the block itself, which would not, once the blockchain splits, then one header's hash will be different, and then the pre-block or whatever we call it.
Again,
those will all be different.
I'm trying to.
So they will not be identical in every way.
I'm trying to bring this to the average person, right?
Okay.
Let's say on November 19th, I want to send you, I want to receive Bitcoin.
Okay.
The regular Bitcoin.
Okay.
Okay.
Then that would be on me.
Right. So what do you have to do to make sure I actually get Bitcoin
and not the other one?
Right.
And not the other one. So what's probably going to be the safest way is go to an exchange and withdraw $1 worth of normal Bitcoin.
You would have to do that.
Yeah, I would have to do that, and I have to include that as part of the transaction that I'm sending to you.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Why is that?
Because that's something that the other chain can't do. Because he's got you got to have valid inputs and invalid output or whatever. He's sending you money.
So you're gonna go to an exchange.
If you try to replay that transaction, it will try to select the one Bitcoin or whatever you said, $1 worth of Bitcoin. The newer chain will try to do that, but then that transaction won't exist. So
it's not going to work. So
if you have no money on an exchange, now what?
Just buy $1 worth from Coinbase. It shouldn't take.
That's a problem.
Okay. If you don't want to go
to anyone that believes in the peer-to-peer digital currency that Satoshi created, you should not be using Bitcoin, in my opinion. I have never in my life used anything that connects it to my real-life identity.
Okay.
So I don't have the option of grabbing $1 worth of Bitcoin from an identifiable place.
All right. So the other way is, hopefully, you can go to a faucet. There will probably be some that hands out Bitcoins that are what you would call tainted or unreplayable on the other chain, and then you utilize that to taint all your coins, and then you can send it to your heart's content.
Eric Lombroso, should we plug? He's starting something.
Split. Yeah,
he's starting something for this to make it easier.
All right, so I'm gonna get Eric Lombroso on the show then before.
Well, you have to clarify exactly what you're worried about, because if you're receiving money, then you want the replay, or you don't care because you're just getting money on random things. You could be worried on his behalf that he's accidentally sending more than he intends, right? You ask him for 4 Bitcoin, he sends you 4 Bitcoin, but then he accidentally sends you for
2x
other thing.
Yeah.
I want to.
So the chain split will probably give you a faucet where you can take one. And
if I put all of my Bitcoin into a single address, and then stick $1 worth of Bitcoin after the fork into it, all of those coins have just become unreplayable?
No. Well, so you need the other $1 or 1 Satoshi, it doesn't matter, right, of value that's unreplayable. If you combine it with that one output that you combined it to, then yes, it would be unreplayable.
All right. So okay. So again, I'm looking for like solutions for our followers, how they can send Bitcoin and not get replayed, right? Or worse, the worst case scenario is that they sell their
the unwanted ones,
and then realize you just lost all of your coins. And honestly, correct, I want to see this. I mean, in a way, I want to make sure this doesn't happen to me, and I really don't. I want to make sure this doesn't happen to my followers, but I want it to happen to everyone else. Because no, and I'm not joking, because I want the people that are involved in this shit to really feel what it's like when someone that just lost a few $1 million is mad at them.
Mm. Well, so here's what I would say. I'll definitely write an article and maybe make even like a video tutorial on how to do this after the fork. But until after the fork, we won't know where exactly like the faucets will be and how Eric Lombroso's chain split stuff will happen. My recommendation is just don't, if you're worried about this, don't transact for a few days afterwards until these tools become available.
I don't see that as a solution to Bitcoin being this thing that we all expect it to be. All right.
I think you're right though, but I think that it's something like I think Jimmy Song is right that there kind of like is no solution until we really know more, because you don't know what kind of replay protection that intentional or otherwise, and I mean like by unintentional I refer to this Coinbase transaction mixing stuff or this faucet mixing stuff. You don't know like what the optimal replay plan is until
we try it. Yeah, and there might be exchanges even that might be giving out some of these faucet coins just to like help people, because that's something that they're not going to want to deal with.
But again, I'm going back to the layman's terms because this is important to me. So if I put all of my Bitcoin into one address, which is a horrible thing to do for OPSEC purposes, but this is what Jeff Garzik is forcing us to do. Sounds like to me. Put all of your Bitcoin into one private key. Don't screw that up, all right? After that, you find a faucet that you trust. I would go with Eric Lombroso, and I'll make sure I'll get him on video for this, okay? You stick, somehow get like a Satoshi worth of Bitcoin into that same private key, along with your X number of Bitcoins.
Wait. So Tone, I think I think maybe a concept that might be helpful is sort of like tainting your coins. Yes. So once one of your coins, you don't actually have coins, right? Like you have UTXOs or whatever.
Layman's not developers. No, we don't have to
think of them as like Mark Bills or something like that.
But I just want to say something though, which is that you can make it really, really simple by just totally ignoring.
No, you can't.
Because all you have to do, what you're describing is only possible if you want to cash out and sell the unwanted coin.
All right. Paul, no. This is where I take offense. This is where I take offense, okay? Because look, we're not
confused about this.
Because right now my life is fighting shitcoiners. And if your solution is don't do anything, I am supporting shitcoins because they're transacting.
No, because you can say I don't
do anything is not a solution.
No.
Doing something immediately that allows you to spend without worry is a solution.
Yeah, but here's the thing,
I want to bring that solution to every one of my followers so they can do something immediately and not have to worry about losing their Bitcoin.
Okay, but here's the thing. If hypothetically, if you just were to ignore say the unwanted coin is the 2x coin, I'm just guessing here for you that this you want to ignore the 2x coin, you can just transact in the other coin and it will not affect you will never be affected by replay.
Maybe a theoretical solution, not a real one. As much as I try to ignore the B trash garbage, it's all over my life right now, right? As much as I tried to talk it down, as much as I tried to ignore it, it's not ignorable. And I kind of like the idea of making 10% on all my Bitcoin. So I agree. I would love the ability to make another 10 or 20% on all my Bitcoin without the possibility of total loss of my
totally
Bitcoin.
agree, Tom,
which is why I have you on here.
We're getting this thing, it's winding a lot, because you're saying on one hand, you want it really simple for people who aren't developers, and you're just worried about them losing money.
Because
so the simplest thing is that they just don't install 2x, don't look at it, and just only use the software you're already using, and you will be. And then I don't know. I don't know. The exchanges might do something weird. So don't put your money on an exchange for like 2 weeks.
Let me tell you the reality of the situation. Right. The reality of the situation is people are greedy. Okay. During our epic August 1st 8-hour live stream, when Bcash was forking, I pleaded with people not to jump in and convert and sell their Bcash immediately for the chance of losing your Bitcoin. You know what happened during that day? Somebody accidentally sent me all of his Bitcoin. By accident.
His Bitcoin or his Bcash?
His Bitcoin. Trying to split his Bitcoin, he accidentally sent it to me. The guy that was screaming.
When, though? Because there was replay protection in Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, so that didn't really matter. Yeah.
No, by being an idiot.
Well, I mean, I don't know. We can't protect people from. If you've got a way of protecting people from their own idiocy, we'll have a Nobel Prize.
The best thing I can do is provide them the maximum amount of information for them not to screw up.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying
myself.
You don't have to do anything. If you want to play it very low effort, and you're just worried about the new one, then you could just say, well, I surrender all this new one. I'm just not going to think about it. And when I send money, it'll probably be replayed.
And if you're greedy, you would put it on Bitfinex right now, sell the other part, and just get your Bitcoin.
Bitfinex is a bad example. They're not taking external. They're not taking like regular people as clients anymore. But
yeah, I mean some other place.
Yeah, you can't be US.
I still want to get back to the idea. I have all of my Bitcoin. I put all my Bitcoin in one address.
Yes.
I then go to a faucet, again, plug to Eric Lombroso.
You need to get one pure.
Grab a Satoshi.
One tainted.
Yeah.
Tainted.
It's like the opposite,
one
right?
tainted coin. Tainted of, what do you mean by?
It's entangled with one chain only.
So it's unreplayable.
Okay.
Coin that's unreplayable.
Coin that's unreplayable, and I add it to my stash of Bitcoin.
And like spend all of it at once, and then you're good.
Then move all of that. Move all of that Bitcoin to another address.
Yep, and then you're good forever.
And then the private key, before I move it, once I move it, I use that private key with no Bitcoin on it to split my Bcash out.
No,
it's not Bcash. The
2x coin is now encumbered to that key.
Right. So so after I taint them, after I taint them to make them unreplayable, I can still pull out all of my 2x coins.
Yeah, after you've split them, you've essentially split them by spending it to another address with a unreplayable coin.
So
I just want
to make sure, because again, like I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be like as stupid as possible, so you guys can explain it to everyone, including myself. So once I put all of my Bitcoin into one address, I taint it with an unreplayable Satoshi. I move that coin. That private key still contains all of the B2X.
Yes.
All right. So then I can take them to another wallet. That's a B2X wallet. Like, what do I do? How do I sell that?
Well, that we don't know yet.
How do I pull the B2X out of it?
Yeah, you need a wallet that supports
2x,
and you need an exchange that supports 2x. But that's no different from any other.
And we don't know which ones will support it, because those wallet developers haven't really done their stuff yet. So that you won't know until the fork. Or
it's possible that no one will support it. I don't think so, but it's possible.
I doubt it. Somebody's going to support it.
Coinbase will support 2x. We can assume.
Yeah. Okay, so I now understand what to do in order to make sure that I don't lose any Bitcoin trying to sell the B2X. Hopefully, our followers understood this.
I also wrote an article on this, and you know, there are going to be solutions, and people are careful with their money in general, so they will, you know, have video tutorials and stuff, and step by step. Here's, you know, somebody's going to make a wallet, and then they'll say, okay, here's step one, here's the screen that you need to click, and all that stuff.
It might even be like a plugin for Bitcoin Core or something.
Okay, so speaking of Bitcoin Core. Speaking of Bitcoin Core, I heard that the version 15 was not gonna block the B2X stuff. What does that mean, and what's the latest on that? Should I move all of my Bitcoin to a core node?
Oh no. So all that's doing is, if you have a full node, it was it would sort of pre-ban all the 2x nodes from connecting to it. That's really all it was. And
is that working? Like, is that?
So there's something like a cat and mouse game where a lot of the 2x people were like, well, okay, then we'll just change this other thing so you can't detect that it's a 2x node. So that's really, I mean, who cares? It'll resolve itself, and you might be isolated. Just reconnect, and you're fine.
Yeah, that's what they call cheap talk in the game theory department. And like, oh, the stuff that says it's 2x node will ban, and then they're like, well, but this all the node stuff is not really auditable. So it is a cat and mouse that will just never end, and it will just waste everyone's time.
All right. So what's the end goal here? Well, what is the point of the B2X hard? I don't know what the hell to call this thing.
2x. Just call it 2x.
What is the point? What is their end goal here?
No, but you know what it is, Tone. I think it's spelled out very clearly in the Medium article. They wanted to get SegWit activated, and they wanted.
Well, I know that part, right? But the bigger blocks, right? Like what?
It's a compromise.
Like to increase the non-witness block size to 2 megabytes, and that's what they thought was best. You know, a compromise is always better than immediate violence, but it's never going to be like the best. Somewhere there is the right answer, and it's not a compromise between different things. It's just the right answer. And so we kind of don't know what it is, but the futures markets say that 2x will not be worth as much as 1x. So that's something that's interesting to me. I think I'm in favor of building even better futures markets so that we can be even more persuasive to everyone. You could perhaps show miners how much money they would gain or lose by doing a certain thing. And I think that would be the most persuasive evidence of all, because how can you be in a corporation like Bitmain, for example, just to name one completely at random, but how could you be in like a corporation and then take an action that will very clearly result in revenue falling? Yeah. And so the futures markets that I designed, they would allow you to take lots of different things into account. It's not that much more complicated, and you would be able to see, like, if the 1x network died and the 2x network was the only thing that existed, what would be the price? Or the reverse, if the 2x network was called off and we never did it, what would the 1x network be worth? And then I mean, what's more persuasive than that? I think that's pretty cut and dry.
All right, Paul, we got a question from an audience. Can you there you go. You can read it. So it says, ask Paul Sztorc what he thinks about Taj's discrete Oracle stuff presentation. Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
that was actually one of the few presentations that I was able to fully follow.
Discrete lock contracts, really? That's the one?
I think this other guy is also named Paul. I think, didn't you? I think he got me on Twitter, and I quoted him and replied. I did a whole talk. You can find it, the video. I just tweeted about it very recently, like today, like 2 hours ago or something. But you can also find it if you go to bitcoinhivemind.com. And you can go to presentations. You can find my presentation, which is called the Oracle Problems. I did a whole QCon talk about presentations, but basically, my one big concern of mine about his thing, he starts the presentation off by saying that multi-sig isn't very good, and then his presentation is like on a marginal improvement to multi-sig, which is basically like the Oracle doesn't know who they're multi-sigging for, or if anyone is even using their thing.
Oh, and they can't say different.
And they can't say different answers to different people, which is nice. But yeah, I worry that the improvement is not very significant to the point where I don't think it would like significantly advance the.
Yeah, you can still collude.
One thing is that the person may exit scam, which is a big problem with anything related to reputation. The person may acquire a good reputation, and then they may decide that the best way to use it is to. The Oracle could themselves become a counterparty, start trading with all these different people, and then now that they're not only the Oracle, but they're also Bob, the Alice and Bob thing. So then now they are screwed, and they just withdraw all the money. And the exit scam is a big issue in all Oracle-based everything. In fact, you want to take steps to allow people to kind of get rid of sell a good reputation and get rid of it. Otherwise, you'll have this. It'll be like the fiat exchanges, really, where something like Mt. Gox, Mt. Gox will acquire a reputation for being the best and the biggest, and then more people will want to go there, and then it explodes inevitably, because you've got plausible deniability, you got all this other stuff to cash out the reputation in the worst way. And then it goes to another exchange as the biggest, and then it gets targeted by whatever.
You're waiting for a Coinbase exit scam. Yes. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, you have this kind of like an asteroid orbiting the sun. Is how I sometimes explain it, where you have this like weird equilibrium of just stuff is the biggest, and then you have a period of peace and tranquility for a while, and then the Roman Empire collapses, and it's horrible again, and it's just cycles. And so you want something that like undoes the exit scam problem, which it doesn't have, and I think it kind of regresses to the multi-sig case, which he himself points out in the early why it's not the multi-sig case isn't very good.
He did. Yeah.
So, but I think that in particular his thing is very interesting, and it'll probably be used for something, just because a lot of the other stuff is very cool about it being off-chain, Lightning Network, fully Lightning Network like integrated.
Yeah, and also you can't sign in more. You can't give different answers. I really like that aspect
of it might be used for like something totally different, just like committing to some random numbers.
Right. Let's jump back into the 2x discussion. What are you expecting from the mining side? What is your outlook for mining percentage, mining one coin versus another, and what does this do to the other hard fork we already had, which is Bcash?
Okay, those are good questions. So yeah, these are just my guesses. I don't really like know any of this at all, so you just like ignore it all maybe. But let's think about this. So the agreement had 83%, or at least it said it did. And there's no kind of reason to believe that it's not. Well, it wasn't correct at the time, but there's some signaling.
Right, that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then some people have said that they will let, like Slush always does the right thing, which is to say that it's not my job to decide. So, which is the correct answer. So we have some kind of vague. So I'm not sure. Someone estimated that was like 70-something%, 71 or 72 or something, was still like saying. And again, this is all cheap talk, as I mentioned before, which is like you don't know exactly what it's worth, but we have those kind of numbers, and my guess is that it would just be too embarrassing if they bailed like very quickly. So even in the case where they bail, right? So let's say like we kind of do the extremes maybe, and even in the case where they all bail on, and none of the miners even wanted the 2 megabyte. And they only wanted SegWit, but there was just a giant pretext that was required for political reasons. And so even if you take that extreme, probably there'll be like 1 or 2 days where 70% mines the 2x coin. That's kind of my thinking on that. The other extreme is that all the miners actually they are pissed off, and they do want to send a message, and it's worth it for them. And actually even more of so a lot of people pretend not to like. Even Bitfury is angry or something, and but they just didn't want to say that they were angry. And
angry at which part? Angry at which part?
At the dev leadership.
At the dev leadership. Okay, fine. Let's.
And then in that case,
let's go deeper on that. Let's go deeper on
at least a few weeks.
So I have an article coming out, and I did some analysis on this, and it will be published on Monday, but. The forking block, it turns out, is about 865 blocks into a difficulty period.
That's interesting.
So it's there's exactly 1,152 blocks that need to be mined before the difficulty adjusts on both sides.
That's actually pretty fortunate, because it kind of almost cuts it in half.
Yeah. That's about the most fortunate that you can do.
If they were smart, they should have done it. Yeah, 2x, if they wanted to be strategic about killing the old chain, which they should have.
Should have done it right after.
Would have done it like one block.
But it turns out it's about halfway through.
About halfway through. Okay, so that's good to know.
Yeah. And it turns out that, so I did some calculations based on sort of like the last few months of signaling based on blocks, where the ones that said NYA, it's been fluctuating between 85 and 95, so I just cut it off at 90. And then I took the futures market. It's about 0.17 2x coin per 1x coin, like if you do the split and everything else. And I did some calculations on how much opportunity cost there is. And it turns out that over the first 1,152 blocks, turns out to be about $60 million. And it goes up until about February 3rd. But after that, the next 5 weeks, it ends up costing about $600 million in opportunity cost. If those ratios stay the same.
What are your ratios though? Like, what's your starting ratio? 70-30? What's your ratio?
90-10.
90 going to 2x.
Yeah, and this is just purely based on objective data, just like what they're signaling in the blocks. Right?
90 going to 2x. So you're saying, yeah, but so mining the old chain is going to become useless.
No, he's saying how much does it cost? I think if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying this is how much does the miner's bottom line get hit by adhering to this
2x.
That
Yeah. So they're losing $60 million over a period of about 4 months, and then the next month they lose something like $600 million collectively. And then it gets like crazy because the amount of money that you start losing, because 1x
falls on the 1x.
And 1x is so much easier to mine, and if they're sticking with 2x, it just becomes economically completely irrational without a state actor or something subsidizing that side. So my feeling is that's not a sustainable, like something has to give.
It will change, right? It's like the scenario that obviously the 2x side would aim for would be that the 1x side loses hope and everyone rushes into 2x, and the 2x coin is worth $7,000.
Yeah. So one of two things has to change, right? You have mining power split, 90-10 is what I'm assuming, and you have price split, which is like 0.17 to 1 or whatever. One of those two things have to change. Either price has to follow hash power, or hash power has to follow price. One or the other has to happen. Yeah,
I agree.
And we don't know which. I think.
Or the third thing is that some group arbitrarily decides to lose money.
So the other option
we do know those people exist from the Bcash experiment.
Yeah. So it's possible that you have people that are pumping in money or pumping in hash power. One or the other has to happen, right? It could be external, but
it's
internal.
easier to pump in hash power. I mean, you have to pump in like a lot if you want to keep a fake price. And meanwhile, like all these bloodthirsty traders, battle-hardened traders, like no, and you want to keep that going for like days on end, like 24/7. Like you need a lot of money, and meanwhile, there's a lot of like despair.
I want to get back to
but the hash rate will be easier.
I want to get back to what you said. If the miners are angry at the core and they want to get at them, they're going to jump to the 2x side to teach core a lesson. Okay, I want to explore that. I want to go deeper with that, right?
I think that's the other extreme.
Let's take that extreme to its ultimate conclusion, right? 90% of hash power goes to the 2x side of the chain, right? And it stays there, making the original Bitcoin kind of immovable for a long period of time.
It would be annoying.
There would be 100-minute blocks.
Yeah.
Right. And what's up? And that actually stays there, right? And all of our current core developers, they say, screw it, I'll go work for Goldman Sachs and make more money than I do now, right? And all we have is Jeff Garzik and maybe Andrew Stone and Peter R. Coding on the new chain. What do you think will happen to the confidence of the price of Bitcoin, in your opinion?
Well, I don't know about any of that. I don't know about untangling all that. I mean, the futures markets already give us
a lot of information. Yeah.
They try to aggregate everything. So they would say everything you said and everything else that anyone else thinks.
Right, which is all priced in already.
Right, which is why I'm not expecting any of it.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. But I mean, the way you really teach a lesson is to attack, and that's the one possibility I think that we have to think about.
Well, that's the thing. See, my view on it is none of these attackers have actually learned a lesson, which is why I want to provide very clear directions to all of our followers here on the World Crypto Network and on my channel. How do you paint the coins to make sure your Bitcoin is not replayable when you sell off your 2x? Yeah. And I really hope some big whales would, lose like $10 million, but still have like another 10 or $20 million to seriously go after the people that are causing this fork.
Well, I don't know if you can solve it with money per se, but I mean, I think the market will work itself out, and people that learn the lesson will be the people that bet wrong. That's just how it is.
Certainly, you could make the argument that this is like, this whole thing is just embarrassing for Bitcoin, and it just makes everything looks unorganized and crazy, and that would be like, that's almost the worst thing you can say about it, really. I mean, it's hard to lose. It really is. This stuff about replay protection is, I think, really overblown. It's like there's a lot of like kind of angels against the tide of evil. Like it was very sanctimonious kind of. I'm not sure how to describe it. Almost like if something doesn't have replay protection, it's like,
it's always put in moral terms.
Thing ever, and those people are just the worst. I mean, it only does affect you if you want to cash out on the second thing. So by giving it, it's kind of a concession that you letting people freely cash out of your altcoin thing. So.
Yeah, I think we need to immunize against it anyway, and I think Bitcoin will be better for it. And yeah, I want wallets to have all these features. I love that, and I think it'll protect us going forward, because 2018 we're going to see a lot more hard forks.
All right, well, I'm done with my questions. I don't know if you have anything else, Jimmy.
Let's go eat, man. I'm hungry.
All right, guys. We will bring you more details on how to deal with this fork that's coming in about 10 days. I'll keep trying to ask the right questions, because I want to make sure I hold on to my Bitcoin as well during this mess. And then we'll talk about price in another video. All right, guys. And Jimmy and I will do a recap of this event probably tomorrow, or we'll see. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
All right. All right. Talk to you all later. Thank you for watching. We closed off with about 600 viewers.
All right.
Later, guys.